Vasudeva Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Before reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the classes on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and by rendering service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear Vaishnavas, thank you so much for joining on this special day of Ekadashi. We are reading Granth-raj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 12, The Perfect Society, 4 Spiritual Classes. This is about the glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. All good, as good is all light, all bliss and all perfection, so also is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is all bliss, all perfection. Srila Prabhupada mentions that in one of the purports. And what to speak of reading and hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam on this special day of Ekadashi? Madhavatithi Bhakati Janani Bhajana Anukula. This is very, very favorable for doing bhajan. And one of the first and foremost limbs of doing bhajan is Shravanam, or hearing the name, form, qualities of the Supreme Lord from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So let's study the next verse, text number 8. Kesha prasadhano dhano na marda snapana bhiyag yagyadhanadikam guru stribhir yuvatibhi karyena nat Tamano Yuva. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. If the wife of the spiritual master is young, a young brahmachari should not allow her to care for his hair, massage his body with oil, or bathe him with affection like a mother. Purport: the relationship between the student or disciple and the wife of the spiritual master or the teacher is like that between the son and mother. A mother sometimes cares for her son by combing his hair, massaging his body with oil, or bathing him. Similarly, the wife of the teacher is also a mother, Guru, Patni, and therefore she may also care for the disciple in a motherly way. If the wife of the teacher is a young woman, however, a young brahmachari should not allow such a mother to touch him. This is strictly forbidden. There are 7 kinds of mothers. Atma Mata Guru Patni Brahmani Raja Patnika Dhenu Dhatri Tatha Prithvi Sapta Saptita Matra Smritaha. These mothers are the original mother, the wife of the teacher or the spiritual master, the wife of Brahmana, the king's wife, the cow, the nurse, and the earth. Unnecessary association with women, even with one's mother, sister, or daughter, is strictly prohibited. This is human civilization. A civilization that allows men to mix unnecessarily with women is an animal civilization. In Kali Yuga, people are extremely liberal, but mixing with women and talking with them as equals actually constitutes an uncivilized way of life. Hare Krishna. Since the last few verses, we have been discussing the duties of a brahmachari, and this is not just brahmachari actually, but it is applicable for everyone. Everyone must try to follow these, that association with the opposite sex should be very, very careful. And in this particular example, the 7 mothers are mentioned. Atma Mata once was given birth, Guru Patni, the wife of the Guru, Raja Patni, etc., Mother Cow, etc. So the point here is that if the brahmachari is young and the Guru Patni is young, it's not healthy for the brahmachari to accept service like a mother, like how he may accept from his mother. The mother may care for the child by giving him massage or combing hair, etc. But same is not the case when the Guru Patni is young. That's the literal meaning. But in our situation, what we can do is be very, very careful. Prabhupada is so nicely mentioning that a civilization where men and women mix unrestrictedly is basically animalistic civilization. It is not being human. So loose talking, just wasteful talking, just time pass, frivolous talks, prajalpa. This is not the Vaishnava society. What to speak of Vaishnava, it is not the human society, civilization. Sorry to say, we are living in animalistic civilization because in this day and age, if someone reads this, they'll say, oh, which world are you living in? Which world you're talking about? Because if a young teenager does not have boyfriend or girlfriend, they feel they're out of the place. But that is the root cause of problem. So many unwanted Varna Sankara, unwanted pregnancies, abortions, lack of physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, everything is going in drain because they're wasting their precious energy, time, resources, and everything is disturbed. So that's the root cause of the problem. So one must be very, very careful in dealing with opposite sex. And always remember that to give the respect like a mother. Any other comments, questions anyone has? Okay, let's read the next verse. Would someone like to read who has not read so far this week?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, please.
Text 9. I joined right now. Is it text 9?
Yes.
Okay. Nanu agnik pramada nama grita kumbha samapuman sutam api raho jakshat anyada yavat arthakrit. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Women is compared to fire and the man is compared to a butter pot. Therefore, a man should avoid associating even with his own daughter in a secluded place. Similarly, he should also avoid association with other women. One should associate with women only for the important business and not otherwise. Purport. If a butter pot and fire are kept together, the butter within the pot will certainly melt. Women is compared to fire and man is compared to a butter pot. However advanced one may be in restraining the senses, it is almost impossible for a man to keep himself controlled in the presence of a woman, even if she is his own daughter, mother, or sister. Indeed, his mind is agitated even if one is in the renounced order of life. Therefore, Vedic civilization carefully restricts mingling between men and women. If one cannot understand the basic principle of restraining association between man and women, he is to be considered an animal. That is the purport of this verse. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, so much for reading. Now one may say, why? Why do the scriptures say so? So the analogy is given in this verse that men are compared to butter pot and the women are compared to fire. So when the butter comes in contact with the fire, what will happen? The butter will melt. It's not a question, I was hearing this in the classes, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So there is absolutely, it is certain, Prabhupada is mentioning here, it's certain that it will fall down, will happen. So one should not think, oh, I have been practicing celibacy for 20 years, 30 years. I have, I am this devotee. I am second initiated. I am this, I am that, 20 years, 30 years, whatever. One should not think like that. One should always feel that I am very, very vulnerable. That I should be very, very careful. Because these are the words of Kṛṣṇa. These are the words of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Not different from Kṛṣṇa. One should not even think, oh, I have crossed a certain age of 50 years or 60 years. The more one devotee progresses, the one more feels humble inside the heart and feels that I need more spiritual protection. I need more shelter of the Supreme Lord. So one should never feel that, oh, now I am, Let me share a story actually in this regard. One time Vyasadeva was, sitting with his disciples, and one of his disciples is Jaimini Rishi. So he was saying something. He said that a devotee, a sadhaka, must be very, very careful with the women, and must not associate with women, as mentioned here, uh, only for important business or some spiritual service, or one should not dangle around with women or just pass frivolous comments or unnecessary wasteful talks. So Gemini Rishi asked Vyasadeva, Guru Maharaj, do you think it's for even sannyasis like us? Maybe, yeah, for new people, probably it's true. For grihasthas who are not so controlled, who are, prone to shortcomings. Yeah, for them. But do you think it's for us also? The great, and Vyasadeva could sense there is a sense of, some pride in his heart that I am great. Okay. The conversation stopped there and everyone went back to their respective hermitages. So it was a monsoon night. And then this Gemini was in his, sleeping on the floor in his hermitage. And then a lady in the dead of the night, because of the rain, her clothes and every body was wet completely. And she knocked, help me, help me, help me. And then Gemini said, well, I am a sage and you are a woman and it's night time. I can't. I can't help you. Oh, sorry. He said, but if you don't help me, then who will help me? There is no one else here. So after a lot of requests, Gemini said, okay, okay. And then finally he said that, well, I can't sleep in the same place. It's not that we have like 10 bedrooms. It's only small hermitage. So you sleep inside, I will sleep outside. And the mind is very, very fickle. Even, no matter what may come, you don't open the door, even if I ask you to do so. Okay. So he was quite careful. And then she said, okay, she was inside. She locked the door, and Gemini was outside. Finally, he had seen that woman and her wet clothes. So that impression was very, very deep in his mind. And at the dead of the night, he started to bang the door that I want to associate with you. I want to associate with you. And then this woman said, well, you told me that not to open the door. Sorry, I will not open the door. And then he persisted, and she was quite firm at the instructions given, and then he persisted. And finally, yes, Gemini, somehow went up the roof and then, slammed in. It was like not a very, cemented roof. So he somehow entered and made a hole and just entered through the roof to be with this woman. The woman said, okay, we are not Kali Yuga beings. So you have to, Gemini said, okay, I'll marry you, because it was still some culture was there, or I mean, they were very, very cultured, not like Kali Yuga, not like what you call like living before marriages. That's basically animalistic, as mentioned here. There is sanskar. There is the vivah samskar after the brahmachari life. So it is absolutely fine to enter that path. And many and majority of the people do so, which is absolutely fine. So, well, he said, okay, I'll marry you and then we can associate. And then she said, okay, I will marry you, but I have a condition that I will be on your back. Like you may have seen sometimes young children ride on their father's back or mother's back. They like, ghoda kind of. They play horsey. So say, I will be, you become my horse, I will ride you. This is the great Jaimini Rishi. And this woman is asking this request. So Jaimini Rishi checked here and there, and then, what's going on? No one is there. Well, it's not. It's very nighttime. No one is watching. Okay, I'll do it. So he said, okay, you circumambulate 3 times this hermitage. If you do it, we'll marry. And then Jaimini Rishi did that. So he became a horse, puppet in the hands, handpicked, because of uncontrolled. And of course, it's a lesson for us that how it's a very nice lecture by Zornas Radhanath Swami Maharaj, available on YouTube and ISKCON Desire Tree, The Power of Lust. Great kings, they would conquer big kingdoms, but they would be conquered by lust, and they will fall victim to their lusty desires. So finally Gemini became a horse. The great Rishi, the great sage, became a horse. Power of lust. Then after 3 rounds were done, this woman said, okay, we will marry. Now this woman was none other than Vyasadeva. His guru had come to teach a lesson. And then next day his guru said, well, Jaimini Rishi, what do you think? Is this instruction for only Grihasthas? then he, it was, then everyone agreed that. So the point here is that, uh, again, now the men should not think women are Maya. Bhagavatam does say that. And but Bhagavatam also say that the men are Maya for women. So the same butter and fire analogy applies. But actual Maya is the attachment. If one has that selfish eyes full of lusty desires, full of sense gratification, then in some religions it is mentioned don't have illicit relation with your mother and sister. So we can imagine to the extent this is animals don't distinguish between mothers and sister, but humans do. But these days, everything is topsy-turvy because we are living in a very, very uncultured society, which is far from the Vedic injunctions because of unrestricted association between man and woman. Now, many people may say, oh, it is too stereotype or too fanatic, but this is what the Shastra is. These are the words of Kṛṣṇa. And this is not a detail, it is the essence actually. Any other comments or question? Okay, let's read the next verse. Would someone like to read? Text 10.
I can read, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I can read, Prabhu.
Please.
Hare Krishna, devotee. Text 10, right? Kalpa vitatmanam yavad havasam idam ishvaraha dvaitam tvan navirat viramit tato he asya viparyaha yayaha viparyaha. Translation, purport by Subhaktivedanta Swami, Prabhupada ki jai. As long as an living entity is not completely self-realized, as long as he is not dependent of the misconception of identifying with his body, which is not but a reflection of the original body and senses, he cannot be relieved of the conception of duality, which is epitomized by the duality between man and woman. Thus, there is every chance that he will fall down because his intelligence is bewildered. Purport. Here is another important warning that a man must save himself from attraction to women until one is self-realized, fully independent of the illusionary conceptions of the material body. The duality of men and women must undoubtedly continue, but when one is actually self-realized, this distinction ceases. Vidyayai vinaya sampane brahmane gavi astine sunichaiva swapekhe cha panditaha samadarshinaha. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and a gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater. On the spiritual platform, the learned person not only gives up the duality of man and woman, but also gives up the duality of man and animal. This is the test of self-realization. One must realize perfectly that the living being is spiritual soul, but is tasting various types of material bodies. One may theoretically understand this, but when one has practical realization, then he becomes a pandita, one who knows. Until that time, the duality continues, and the conception of man and woman also continues. In this stage, one should be extremely careful about mixing the women. No one should think himself perfect and forget the Shastric instructions that one should be very careful about associating even with his daughter, mother, or sister, not to speak of other women. Srila Madhvacharya cites the following sloka in this regards. Bahutvenai vastunam yathartha jnanam uchayate advaita jnanam itya itad dvaita jnanam tad anyatha yata jnanam yata vastu tata mati naiva jnanarthayor bhedas tata ektvam vedanam. Unity in variety is real knowledge, and therefore giving up variety artificially does not reflect perfect knowledge of monism. According to the Achintya Veda philosophy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there are varieties, but all of them constitute one unit. Such knowledge is knowledge of perfect oneness. Thank you, Prabhu. Please explain.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So a self-realized person sees that one Supreme Lord, that Paramatma, that Atma and Paramatma, in everyone, whether one is a woman or a man or young or old or rich or poor, people on the bodily consciousness will distinguish. We distinguish on the basis of male, female, rich, poor, beautiful, ugly, black, white, yellow, brown, literate, illiterate, fat, thin. These are all bodily designations. But a self-realized person does not distinguish. So Prabhupada did not distinguish between black or white, male or female, in the sense, yes, these great souls are on the level of Shuddha Sattva, but to teach the society, like how Lord Chaitanya also distinguished to teach the society, not because he was not self-realized. Certainly that's not the meaning. He's the Supreme Lord. What to speak of self-realization? Is the one who gives self-realization. But to teach the society, even a Paramahamsa Vaishnava will behave in a certain way to distinguish, as how Bhadra Prabhu gave the example that when Prabhupada's sister would be present, he would always have one or two people or devotees present there. That's Prabhupada teaching by his example. So Shukdev Goswami, we know this famous story that how he was born at the age of almost 16 years, he was running, and then there were some women taking bath and they didn't cover their bodies when they saw Shukdev Goswami. But when his father Vyasdev came, they all covered their bodies because being in the Grihastha ashram, one has to make that distinction. But Shukdev Goswami did not distinguish between male, female, or any other bodily designations. So the point is that at least I am not at that very advanced stage, but we hope to get there one day. It is not a quick thing. It is lifetime or lifetimes of sincere endeavor in Krishna consciousness, in Bhakti Yoga. And as we make progress, so the first stage is to not do externally anything wrong. Even if inappropriate thought comes in the mind, we immediately kick off that thought because it's very difficult to control the thoughts. Chanchalami mana Krishna. But if we meditate upon that thought, then that will manifest into action. That's what is whatever dhyayato vishyan puddha sangas teshu. So first a thought comes. If a bad thought comes, we should immediately think, oh, my bad, evil mind, what are you thinking? So think about Krishna. Immediately try to It may come because of past desires. It may come because of the past conditionings. It may come, even though we may not want that thought to come, but therefore we should chant intensely, Krishna, please help me. Look at my evil mind. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, beat this mind with broomsticks, with shoes every day. Because what kind of evil thoughts come? What kind of bad desires come in the mind? But if you meditate upon those thoughts, those will manifest into watch your thoughts, because thoughts becomes actions. Watch your actions, because actions becomes habits. Watch your habits, because habit becomes the character. A Jamil case, thought came. He saw that. We also see every day in so many magazines, newspaper, or even maybe in TV, maybe in the phone, the ads and driving on the road, billboard, and this and that. So many scenes which we are not supposed to see, which as a sadhaka we should not see, but we end up seeing those, or we end up hearing even though we don't want it. So what's the outcome? What's the thing? We have two choices. Either we can meditate upon it, and this does not just mean opposite sex. Certainly that is the real meaning here, but it could be something else also. For example, the new Mercedes car in town. And if we just meditate upon that, just meditate, oh, when will I have that? Oh, my neighbor has that. Oh, how I wish I have that. What I have to do to get that. This is now we saw that advertisement, and now we're meditating upon it, churning that. So the desire is going deeper and deeper and deeper. Same with the opposite sex, same with any other desires, which is all compared to lust. So I'll share a story of liquid beauty, because we just get fascinated by this covering. If, as Grace Amoglila Prabhu was mentioning, we see the skin and we get fascinated with the skin. If we just scrape off 1 inch or 1 millimeter of the skin, will anyone get fascinated with that thing which will look? It will be all bloody, messy. Will anyone get fascinated? Does anyone get fascinated by seeing a dead body or with blood and everything? Certainly not. So liquid beauty stories you may have heard, but still for my purification and so that the message can go deeper and deeper, and it's very relevant in this context. There was a person who saw this young beautiful girl, and the king, he was a very rich person. So this person wanted to enjoy. He said, I want to marry you because you're so beautiful. I've never seen anyone more beautiful like you. So kindly marry me. The whole thing is, I want to enjoy you. And this lady said, well, we don't even know that you're getting fascinated with this body. Okay, I'll marry you. Can you please come after 6 weeks? He said, okay, yeah, I can wait for 6 weeks. It's not a big time. Okay. And the whole time he was thinking about that girl and how he'll get married in 6 weeks. And now this lady wanted to teach this king a lesson. She started taking very high doses of laxatives and purgatives, basically to induce vomiting and stool, loose motions. So she didn't take proper food, and she was taking this medicine or to doses of laxatives and purgatives. As a result, she was vomiting badly, and she was diarrhea. So she was in diarrhea. Basically, the whole body turned very, very pale and sickly. The face was completely dark. The bones were coming out. And as she was, releasing those bodily fluids in the form of vomiting and stool and urine, she was collecting those in different pots. Stool, urine, mucus, etc., vomiting in different pots. And now this person comes after 6 weeks and says, hey, and then knocks at that door and says, this woman opens the door and he says, well, can you help me to reach out to the lady whom I've come to marry? Looks like you are her servant, probably in the house. So I want to marry that lady. She promised me she'll marry me in 6 weeks. And that lady, who the king was thinking as a servant, was the real lady. And that lady said, well, I am the lady. I told you 6 weeks back that I'll marry you. Okay, I'm ready to marry you. And the king was disgusted. You? I don't want to get married to you. You are a totally different person. You didn't look like this 6 weeks back. And then this lady, the king asked, where is your beauty? You are no more any beautiful now. You looks, like a very, very ugly and then deformed and malnourished and I don't want to marry. Where is your beauty? And the lady said, well, come, I'll show you my beauty. And then she showed those 7 pots where she was collecting all the beauty. So this beauty is skin deep. It is one's real beauty is one's spiritual qualities. They are eternal. This temporary beauty which the males are attracted to the females and the females are attracted to males is basically skin deep. So if the basis of relationship will be that, then very soon the relationship will not hold. Because the beauty will, no one will look the same. One may be beautiful for a certain age, 20, 25 years, in the peak of youth. But no matter who we are, rich or poor, we will get old. And at one point, our body will not be the same. So the point here is that she showed the liquid beauty. And then that king realized his mistake. So whenever if bad thoughts comes, inappropriate thoughts comes, we should remind ourselves with these wonderful stories that what am I attracted to? What is my mind attracted to? We should beat our mind with these heavy instructions of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Guru means heavy. Then we'll become sober and not fall in the trap of Maya. Any comments or questions, additions?
Yeah, I have a question. The last paragraph, I'm trying to understand that. Is that unity in variety is real knowledge, and therefore giving up variety artificially does not reflect perfect knowledge of monism? Does it mean that we should not fall for all kinds of distractions, but should really be focusing on our one goal, spiritual goal?
Unity in variety is real knowledge. Basically, which I understand is referring to the Atma and the Paramatma in the varieties of different things. Basically, seeing everything in connection with Krishna. Bahutvena vastuna yathartam jnanam uchyate. So that is knowledge. Advaita jnana. Giving up variety artificially does not reflect pure knowledge of monism. Artificially saying, oh, woman is Maya, this is Maya, that's Maya, money is Maya, wealth is Maya. That's not the understanding the things or variety in its true perspective. That Krishna is the cause, and we have to respect different things differently. One of the definitions of spirituality is to understand things in their true perspective. Like how we respect women is not by criticizing them, is not by being averse of them. Oh, I will not even see the face of a woman. I'll be doomed, or I'll just get trapped. or if I happen to see some devotee Mataji coming, I'll just turn my direction, and that's called aversion. Artificially, without understanding the true, or Prabhupada give this example. Well, one devotee, one so-called Mayavadi, was saying, money, keep away from me, keep away from me. I don't want to touch money. This is Maya. This is fall down. Prabhupada said, give me money. I will use that in Krishna's service. Prabhupada didn't say women disciples don't come. They are Maya. Never Prabhupada said. He encouraged them by engaging in so many wonderful services. So, unity in variety. Yes, variety. They are different body. Men are different body. But they are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And they have an equal right to practice Krishna consciousness. So understanding that is real knowledge. Seeing the hand of Krishna, seeing the divine hand, seeing the spirit soul, seeing the Paramatma. Does that?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, Vamsilas Prabhu, you were speaking something.
Yes, Prabhuji. I just wanted to look at the other side of the spectrum. One example I heard about a devotee who doesn't see the duality or sees everybody as spirit soul was exemplified by one example I read about one Mataji. She wanted to live in a temple and the temple president said, no, you cannot come to this temple because there are brahmacharis here. And so only purushas are allowed, no stris are allowed. But then when the temple president read the letter from the Mataji, he understood that Mataji is above the genders. So she said in the letter, in a reply that, who is the Purusha here? Only Krishna is Purusha and everybody else is Prakriti. So, so since our consciousness was higher than the dualities, she was allowed to live in the temple. So I just wanted to bring that example. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. The same conversation happens between Mirabai, the great devotee, and Srila Rupa Goswami or Sanatana Goswami, one of the Goswamis. Exact same conversation happens there also. So thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, any other comments before we move on? Okay, let's read one more verse. Someone who has not read so far this week, would like to read. So that means everyone has read once.
Prabhuji, I haven't. I can read.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam, everyone. Text 11. Etat sarvam grahastasya samam natam yaterapi guru vritir vikalpena grahastasya gammina. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. All the rules and regulations apply equally to the holder and the sannyasi, to the householder and the sannyasi, the member of the renounced order of life. The grihastha, however, is given permission by the spiritual master to indulge in sex during the period favorable for procreation. Purport. It is sometimes misunderstood that a grihastha, a householder, is permitted to indulge in sex at any time. This is a wrong conception of grihastha life. In spiritual life, whether one is a grihastha, vanaprastha, sannyasi, or brahmachari, everyone is under the control of the spiritual master. For brahmacharis and sannyasis, there are strong restrictions on sexual indulgence. Similarly, there are strong restrictions for grihasthas. Grihasthas should indulge in sex life only in accordance with the order of the Guru. Therefore, it is mentioned here that one must follow the orders of the spiritual master. Guru Vrittir Vikalpena. When the spiritual master orders, the Grihastha may accept sex life. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.11. Dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi. Indulge in sex life without disobedience to the religious rules and regulations constitute a religious principle. The Grihastha is allowed to indulge in sex life during the period favorable for procreation and in accordance with the spiritual master's order. If the spiritual master's order allows a Grihastha to engage in sex life at a particular time, then the Grihastha may do so. Otherwise, if the spiritual master orders against it, the Grihastha should abstain. The Grihastha must obtain permission from the spiritual master to observe the ritualistic ceremonies of Garbhadhana Sanskara. Then he may approach his wife to beget children, otherwise not. A Brahmana generally remains a brahmachari throughout his entire life. But although some Brahmanas become Grihasthas and indulge in sex life, they do so under the complete control of the spiritual master. The Kshatriya is allowed to marry more than one wife, but this also must be in accordance with the instructions of the spiritual master. It is not that because one is a Grihastha, he may marry as many times as he likes and indulge in sex life as he likes. This is not spiritual life. In spiritual life, one must conduct one's whole life under the guidance of the Guru. Only one who executes his spiritual life under the direction of the spiritual master can achieve the mercy of Kṛṣṇa. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadha. If one desires to advance in spiritual life, but he acts whimsically, not following the orders of the spiritual master, he has no shelter. Yasya prasada na gati kutopi. Without the spiritual master's order, even the Grihastha should not indulge in sex life. So this verse is telling us about Grihastha ashrama and when it is appropriate to indulge in sex life, to procreate children. And Prabhupada tells us so beautifully that the instruction is same for everyone. The Grihasthas are allowed because we need to propagate and have more Krishna conscious kids. So in order for that service is the only time when the spiritual master provides the permission to indulge in sex life, because sex life can take one in the path of materialism if one indulges just for pleasure, and that takes you away from the spiritual life, because we have Maya on one side and Krishna on one side, and if we are doing something for our own sense enjoyment, then it is Maya. But if we are doing it to please the Guru, for procreating Krishna conscious kids, then it is not Maya. That is in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says he is that indulgence to procreate kids with the intention of having kids. So the essence here in this verse is to always follow this spiritual master and never to take a path, a whimsical path where one does not follow the instructions of the spiritual master when it comes to indulging in sex life. Thank you, Prabhuji. Please, if you'd like to add or correct.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. So the blessings of Guru, because it is a samskar like how for any samskar one must take blessings, whether it is vivah samskar, garbdan samskar, or even at the antim samskar when the person is gone, then his friends and relatives seek blessings on his behalf or chant for him, read Bhagavad Gita for him or her. So for any, and it is not just for Garbdan Sanskar, Prabhupada is so clearly mentioning only one who executes his spiritual life under the direction of the Guru or the spiritual master can achieve the mercy of Krishna. One who acts whimsically, one who desires to advance in spiritual life but acts whimsically, not following the Guru, has no shelter. So clearly Prabhupada is mentioning that for anything we must take shelter of Guru. If Guru gives shelter, if Guru is pleased, Krishna is pleased. If we displease Guru and we think we will please Krishna, that's just a hallucination. If we don't follow the instructions of Guru, because Guru, I like his Gopeshwar Prabhu, how he said, Guru is a walking Krishna and a talking Krishna. Guru is the one who helps us to connect to Krishna. Krishna in the altar, we are not so self-realized or advanced. He will talk to Shyamasundar in the altar, or will talk to Radha Damodar in the altar. They will always be happy, showering blessings. Whether one comes once in a year or a decade, or one comes every day to Mangal Aarti, they will always be happy and shower blessings. To please them, not very difficult. But in actuality, they have given the right to reach them through to his devotees or the spiritual master. If you please Guru, then Krishna is happy. So this sex life, yes, Grihasthas may engage in this sex life for Krishna conscious children, as Amsilas Prabhu so nicely mentioned, but there is a proper timing for everything. We know this famous story of Diti and Kashyap. Diti, provoked the husband at the wrong time, and as a result, Daityas were born. Because there is timing for everything. And of course, it's a very big topic, and thing. I shared this, that there is a small document if someone is interested to understand. Although there are many, many books, it's a very big topic, Garbdan Sanskar. There are many books by ISKCON devotees. But I have put like 4 or 5 pages, essence of the essence, how one should follow, what one should do, not do it, things like that, proper dates and things. There's a lot of things. And the more we try to follow, the better it will be, because it's so clearly mentioned. During the favorable period, there are certain inauspicious times and there's a certain auspicious times, preparing mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. There are a lot of factors one should try to take care of. So if someone is interested or in that falls in that age group, or someone who falls in that age group who are trying to have children, who are married couples who want to have children or trying to have children, this may be of help to them. So, and I'm happy many of the devotees, some who are, part of the call, some who are just part of the group, they reached out and I shared the document and they were very grateful for that. So I feel blessed that I got chance to be of some little service in Prabhupada's mission. So, but the last 2-3 lines are very important, that we should, even in Grihastha life, one should regulate. Grihastha does not mean license to sex. Grihasthas also should regulate. And whatever one's current situation is, one should try to get to the ideal state. Is a very big topic again. Marriage, the institution of marriage is very sacred, and we must be mindful of that and not take any extreme steps either. It needs a lot of maturity and wisdom and spiritual development. So we should eventually keep the goal in mind and strive for that. Keeping the sanctity of marriage together, And because everyone's different, everyone's spouse is different, everyone's level of spiritual advancement is different, everyone's inclinations are different. There are a lot of things. There's no two people are same. Similarly, no two partners think alike. So we should always keep that in perspective. As Gopalari Prabhu said, every text has a context. Any other comments or questions anyone has before we move on? Oh, sorry. I mean, it's time. We'll stop for today. But yeah, any other comments or questions? Okay, so sorry I went a little overboard, but I hope you will tolerate me. Today is Ekadashi day, so it's always good to read here, chant more. So thank you so much. We will stop here and continue tomorrow with the next verse. Grantraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Madhav Tithi Ekadashi Tithi ki jai,
Jai.
Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai,
Jai.
Vancha
Jai.
Rutis Chakrapa
Chakrita
Sindhu
Sundari
Patita
Avachapati
Nam Pavanabhyo
Vilambanavyo
Vaishnavyo.
Vishwakarna
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Jai.
Hare
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare
Hey.
Krishna.